Hey everyone, Zarkampachi89 here, again with another deck tech, this one being a mono white deck. It's a really cheap deck, two expensive cards in the deck. I mean, you got the Brahmas and the Johnny Steadfast. Those are the only expensive cards in the deck. It's really good for a starter player who doesn't want to spend more than 150 on a standard deck. This one's also going to be completely rotation legal, so you won't have any problems with that. So it's a really nice deck just to start out with. It's a really fun deck. It can have some really fast, explosive draws, but can also go to the late game rather well and recover from a board sweeper if you need to as well. So we'll jump right into it. We got our 1-drops here. We got Soldier of the Pantheon. Really good 1-drop, 2/1, protection from multicolor, comes up once in a while, as well as the gaining life when they play a multicolored spell. Just a solid 2/1. It's almost every mono white deck or white aggro deck is going to use it. So next we have Vanguard or Brahmas. I only have 2 cards in the deck that actually trigger the heroic, but it's in here for a double white 2/2 Vigilance for 2. It's a good, just a 2/2 Vigilance is a nice card to have with the devotion with the 2 white. I'd have the Precinct Captain in here, except I'm trying to make it rotation legal. Otherwise, if you wanted to use that for the next month and a half or so, you could just use Precinct Captains instead, because 2/2 first strike that makes tokens is pretty cool too. We have the Aegis of the Gods. This is normally just considered a sideboard card. I wanted to put it in here just because there is a lot of black decks running around right now that are going to be trying to thought seize you. Then there's also burn decks that are going to be trying to hit you directly. They got to burn this thing out first before they can even hit you directly with lightning strike, things like that. So it kind of makes them, it forces them to waste a burn spell on the creature instead of you, which it's really nice for slowing down their momentum as well. Yeah, it's a 2/1 for 2, and it's only 1 white, which is kind of sad. If it was double white, it'd be nice. But then next we have Spirit of the Labyrinth. I like this creature a lot. It's got 3 power. It can get in there and hit hard. Like, this is honestly one of your hardest hitting cards in the deck until you get to the bigger creatures or more expensive cards. 3 power is a lot for a 2 mana guy. It's also nice against control decks, or also the mono black decks that use the underground or underworld connections, so they can't draw multiple cards every turn, unless they obviously have to kill it off. Which again, it's a 3/1, and you're making them waste their spells on killing your 3/1 instead of your late game threats, which is really nice. And it's also, I mean, the 3/1 with the next card, the Archetype of Courage, giving it first strike. It's a rather scary creature to be going into combat against as well. So next, as I said, Archetype of Courage. It's a 3 cost, 2 white, which is nice for the devotion. Gives all your creatures first strike. And it makes their creatures not be able to gain first strike, and they lose first strike as well. So it's really good in combat against other aggro decks that have first strike, and it's nice against the red decks that are just almost completely creature based, because then you can just kill off all their creatures while they attack into you, and they can't do anything. Main creature for the deck is Brahmas here, another 3 cost, 2 white creature. It's a 3/4 Vigilance, so it's very powerful card. I don't know if it's exactly worth the $20 it's worth right now. I mean, I'd probably say maybe 15 max, but it's a good card. It makes tokens. You don't necessarily need the tokens in the deck, because you're more looking for devotion, but the tokens are nice to have if you have the Spirit of Healy Odd out. Just more blockers, or with the Planeswalker I'm going to next, being able to pump the tokens as well. We got a Johnny Steadfast. He's a pretty good planeswalker for this deck. I like him in this deck over the Caller of the Pride just because in this deck I'm more worried about trading and gaining life back than just instant one-shot kills. So at least this way I have ways to just slowly, get the damage in, gain life back, trade with their creatures, and if I need to, I can pump a bunch of guys if I have them out against a control deck. Just gotta sideboard against control, get more smaller creatures in there, and when you drop this, you put +1/+1 counters on all of them and just kind of run them over. But yeah, the +1 ability is very relevant, giving you first strike, vigilance, and lifelink to a creature. Last ability on it, you're not really going to use that much, but if you do get to use it, it's really nice. It prevents a lot of damage, a lot of damage. So it really can help you stall out the game later on if you do have the emblem. We're going to go back over here. We got Healy Odd. I only have 2 in the deck because they're nice later on, and they're nice if you're getting ahead with a lot of creatures on the board. But if they're constantly killing off all your creatures, it can kind of get rough with him out because you're paying 4 mana for a 2/1, and he's not a creature at the time. But he does give all your creatures vigilance, which is nice for the ones that you don't have vigilance on already. 2 of your main creatures in the beginning already have vigilance. A lot of the creatures in this deck actually have vigilance, which is really nice ability. So it makes attacking really easy because then you're going to be able to be on defense as well. But it is a nice card because if they do board sweep, you still have an option for getting creatures out there other than just restocking, off of your draws and playing these weaker creatures. That way you can kind of build up your hand again and get back to work. We got Everson, Guardian Angel. This card's really cheap right now. It's like less than $1. I think the card is worth more than that for sure. It's done a lot of work for me through testing this deck. Preventing damage, even just to a creature, is very relevant ability. You kind of look past it right now because of how much black there is, but if you play against red or if you're fighting in combat, you're able to just sit there and make them not be able to attack, or you can make really good combat situations for yourself by preventing damage for 2 mana. Like, it's nothing. 2 mana is not a lot. This card, it's rough to play right now because there is still Mizzium Mortars running around in the Jun lists, and even you might see them in some more mono red decks. But if they don't have the Mizzium Mortars, the card is really good. It's definitely worthwhile, and if you do have the mana saved up, if you do have the devotion to play it for 5 and have 2 backup mana to prevent damage to it from Mizzium Mortars, it's definitely awesome. And then icing on the cake, if you have 7 mana, if you're getting ahead in the game, being able to prevent all damage that will be dealt to target player this turn by source of the color of your choice, it's awesome. It basically just a fog every turn. It's 7 mana, which is a lot, but it basically ruins the game for them, so they can't do anything to you. Next, we have the Soul of Theros. I have 2 of those in here. 6/6 vigilance. He's definitely the high end of our curve. That's why there's only 2. But he's a very good card. He's definitely a game ender against any sort of other aggro deck. If you can drop this guy, you're usually going to win the game because your creature is going to be much bigger than theirs are. He has vigilance, so even after he attacks, he's able to block. And his ability, both of his abilities are very relevant. I mean, they're the same ability, but one's from the graveyard. So even if they do kill it off, you're still going to be able to give all of your creatures +2/+2 first strike and lifelink. So a lot of times in combat, a lot of your creatures are going to have vigilance, first strike, and lifelink which is just amazing. But yeah, he's definitely a game ender. He definitely finishes the game for you if you do draw him. But you don't necessarily need him to win. You're definitely more of an aggro deck, and the card is just a good finisher. Next, we have some of our non-creatures and planeswalkers. We have 4 Banishing Lights. Just a good removal spell for you for getting rid of planeswalkers or big creatures you can't handle. The next card as well is a nice way to handle some of those creatures as well. But Banishing Light gets rid of any problem cards you have they have on the field. Any sort of card advantage engines like Underworld Connections you can get rid of. It's just good overall Magic card. Nice little O-ring. We got Acolyte's Reward. I'm probably thinking about adding a third one of these to the deck. Maybe removing 1 Banishing Light. Because this card is, every time I've had it, it's been fantastic. 2 mana, prevent damage to a creature equal to your devotion. Alright, that's a mediocre ability, but as soon as you do that, you're able to deal that much damage to target creature or player as well. So it gets insane. It doesn't seem really strong at first, but I'll explain a scenario that happened to me with this card. I had 5 devotion out, and I had a 3/2 Soldier of the Pantheon out, and I was swinging in with it, and he was like, what is he going to have to deal with my 6/6 Desecration Demon while he's swinging in with it? This card. I'm able to basically use it as a removal spell based using his creature's own power against him. I prevent all the damage. I prevent 5 damage done to my Soldier of the Pantheon. Well, it only does 1 damage to him. Direct the 5 damage back at the Desecration Demon, and my Soldier of the Pantheon's other damage just goes through and finishes the job. So it's a really good removal spell that way. You can also just, if they're low on life, you can also use it as just like a burn spell to their face, which is awesome too. Like, that's not something White has. Like, you don't get to just burn people in the face, but this card lets you do that because it can target a player. And I've used that to finish a game before as well. So it's a pretty awesome card. I like it a lot. I like I said, I might add a third one in. And then Spear of Healy Odd. This is your Anthem ability in the deck. Double white, helps with your devotion, and then also being able to destroy a creature that attacked you. Again, also helps with big creatures like Desecration Demon, other creatures that you can't handle at the time. Yeah, they have to hit you, but I mean, it's an Anthem ability that you're getting an extra free destroy target creature on top of it, so it's definitely a worthwhile card to be putting in the deck. And then lastly, we got Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. This is just your devotion mana generator. Everyone probably knows what this does. But you pay 2, tap it, choose a color, which you choose white. Add to your mana pool an amount of mana that color equal to your devotion to that color. So, this is your main way to rush out Soul of Theros, Everson, be able to play some of the more expensive abilities, and that's why you're running 4. It's nice that you don't really have to rely on playing something like Boros Reckoner in this deck, because running 4 Nykthos can be kind of hard on your mana if you're having to try to play a triple white spell. Whereas with Everson it costs 5, and by that point you should be able to use Nykthos to rush it out. So the deck is pretty easy for your mana. I mean, the only early double white spell that you have is the Vanguard of Brahmas. But usually you'll be fine. There's only 2 in the deck, so it's not that big of a problem. But yeah, that's the deck. It's a really fun deck. It's really cheap. It's good for newer players that don't know a lot about a lot of interactions. This helps you get a foot in the door, learning how to interact with creatures and interact with using spells, but it's still simple enough that you just smash people's face in with it. The sideboard, I'd suggest doing things like Ajani's, what is that card called? The Ajani's Presence. You get the Indestructible for 1 white for any creature you want, and then you can pay 3 extra per extra creature. It's nice for against any sort of control deck. It's nice against black deck, so you can get rid of their or stop their hero's downfall or anything that's killing creatures. Nyx Fleece Ram is really, really good against other aggro decks as well as mono red decks that are just trying to burn you out. Basically, gets you that life back, and it's a good wall. Deicide, like you saw at the top here, just nice against. This card's actually really good against mono black because they do have a lot of enchantments, and then they can also have the Erebos come in from the sideboard. Some of them maybe main deck 1 Erebos, so you can kill the Erebos as well and get rid of any other copies they have. And then these are nice against aggro decks or against control decks as well. It helps you push your creatures out there, make more creatures, try to win quickly. I don't know. It depends on the situation. It's also pretty good against more mid-range decks that are playing 4 and 5 drops, and you're dropping 1 and 2 drops and swinging in with low creatures. And then I have 2 more Aegis of the Gods in here for the mono black and red decks that are trying to burn you out or Thoughtseize you. Use those kind of spells. I also actually had a situation where the guy couldn't Rakdos return me because I had this out, and he had no way to get rid of this, which was pretty funny. And then we got Glare of Heresy, which is for obviously getting rid of other white permanents, Elspeth and other Banishing Lights, other white planeswalkers like Ajani. It's just a good removal spell for white to get rid of the other mere white cards. So anyways, I hope you guys like the deck. Like I said, it's super cheap. It's like less than $150 comparatively to a lot of standard decks, like some of the Jund Planeswalkers and Monsters and some of the control decks. Those get really expensive, over $300. A lot of these cards you can get for $1 or less. So they're really super easy to get. Some people could probably just give them to you because they're so cheap. Even some of the rares. So I definitely suggest, if you don't have a lot of money, it's a really fun deck to play, and you can definitely win some games with it, that's for sure. So if you guys liked it, make sure to like, subscribe. I'm going to hopefully be starting up my Twitch soon as well, and I'll probably be streaming some Magic on there as well. So if you guys want to head to my Twitch channel as well, Zarkampachi89 is the Twitch handle. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the deck, and I will see you guys later.